Hey, Doll and Malna here. You guys like content, right? So, yeah, content. I'm not dead. I'm not going to wait 7 months for the next video. Okay, so what happened was yesterday they released Higurashi Nonako ni new episode 1 as of October 1st. It happened about 9 a.m. my time. And the original Higurashi show is my second favorite anime of all time. My first, of course, being Trigun, which is why most of y'all are here. And I wanted to do an episode-by-episode review of this remake, and my original thought was I'll see how it shapes up, how it compares to the original, how it compares to the visual novel, because those are all very different experiences. And I also wrote my wife into it, who will not be appearing because she's smarter than me and doesn't want to record herself talking about Japanese cartoons. But anyway, Higurashi knew. So it was going to be, for those of you who don't know, I guess I'll start about Higurashi no Nakokoro ni is a story of Keiichi and his friends, Mion, Reina, Satoko, and Rika. Initially, at least, there's more that get involved, and they all live in this sleepy town, and everything's happy and everything's good until they start going kind of crazy, and murders happen, and then kind of the whole premises of the show is every once in a while, things get really bad, and you're trying to figure out why. It's a mystery, and then time resets, and you get another chance to view it from another angle with new events happening. And the first little bit is a bunch of questions, really, and they're called the question arc, and then it becomes clearer as the show goes on what's happening. And of course, this is all based off of a visual novel with the same name. But there was the original show back in 2006, I think, or something like that, and it was good, but the animation quality was a little and so which I think potentially added to the show's kind of horror when characters would go off model and they'd just be disturbing and barely look like themselves. But that's neither here nor there. I absolutely love that show. It has big themes of the power of friendship and all that, but it's executed really well. It feels like there's very big consequences. It's one of the few things to be, probably because it's so extreme, because the horror and even sometimes gore can be so extreme that it broke into my cold, robotic heart. But Higurashi sought to remake it. I was kind of wondering, as a lot of other people in the community were, what exactly does remake... What exactly does remake mean? Because the story was complete, as Arcada from Glass Reflection said. The original, this isn't a Full Metal Alchemist situation where they kind of went their own direction and did their own thing. No, the story was complete. The story was finished. It adapted pretty much everything it wanted to. Some stuff got cut, sure, but it was a very self-contained package and well regarded. Even it's been a while, so it's older, so it maybe isn't as well known, but it's not. People aren't like, oh, that's the crappy, that's the crappy adaptation. The people who don't really like the adaptation don't like it because it is an anime adaptation and is taking a visual novel. This is very, very long and squeezing it into a more condensed package. Which, side note, I actually like the anime better than the visual novel. Like, I do know it skips out on a lot of details, but just the better pacing of the show just really sells it for me. Sorry, I know that's sacrilege. Not saying the visual novel is bad. It's actually really good. But I do enjoy the enhanced pacing for especially the horror elements. When the horror is drug on for so long, it kind of becomes less scary, in my opinion. But again, whole other discussion. I probably just lost all credit for many Higurashi fans. Sorry. But anyway, so the new one comes out, and I was going to give my reaction to it. And so at first I watched just the very beginning and end just to see, because I was going to watch it with my wife, and I wanted to kind of give her some heads up of what was going to happen. I was like, oh, this looks like the same show, honestly. It was a little unnerving how similar it was. I was like, this first scene starts basically where the first show started, and then the last scene seems to end where the first episode ended. Like, it's straight on. The same voice actors are mostly back. I haven't checked everything, but it appears the same voice cast is back, which is pleasant to me. If people are different, they're close enough that it sounds right to my ears. So everything is great. New animation style takes a little bit of getting used to. It's everyone knows about that already. It's the Monogatari character designer. I'm butchering it. I should have done some research, but I believe he was involved, and so the character designs look adapted. They look like they were done by a different artist, and they look very distinctly that style. But they still look like themselves. It takes a little bit of adjusting in my brain to be like, oh, this is what Rika looks like now. She was a bit more smug than I was used to, I guess, which might be related. Anyway, and so, but everything's basically the same. I was joking with her. I was like, "Oh, this scene." Yeah, I was like, "Everything's the exact same." I was like, "Oh my gosh, they changed the shade of red on the roof of the school. That's their big change." I was kind of joking that it was all really, really, really similar. Which, of course, it's a remake, but it was almost a shot-for-shot remake in a lot of parts. That I could tell different scenes. The little characters got cute little introductions at their house and stuff like that, but very similar to the first show, just with arguably higher quality animation. What was interesting was I didn't feel like it was. There were parts where it looked a little rough or rushed even, and I was like, huh. If the whole point of making this is that the animation in the first show was rough, I was surprised at how rough parts of it were here, because it's not bad, especially in comparison. But if the whole thing you're going is like, oh, the animation's too rough, we need to up that quality, then why didn't you like up it? We went from like here to like here instead of like here. I don't know, just personally, but really, really good. Really enjoyed it. It just wasn't like Violet Evergarden, you know what I mean? Which is nothing should be compared to Violet Evergarden. But I just was shocked. But then as the show went on, everything scene for scene remake. I was showing it to my wife. She was really tired and probably not just loving it. Honestly, not her thing. I don't know if she's even going to finish the whole show. But I was watching it and everything was good. And then they had a new scene, which I thought was really, really cute. Where they, instead of, they talk about the card game, the famous card game with the bent cards, which is, from the classic. And then they go, let's play this other game. And I was like, oh, this is a new scene. And they are chasing after a hidden marker, which was a really cute scene. I liked it. It was fun seeing new shenanigans with these characters that I love so much. But then, as that was going on, I was talking to her and I said, oh, that's cute. They added a new scene. I guess they're going to add a couple new, anime scenes they're cute and original. And I went, it's almost like it's a new. Oh, the cat comes to speak to us. Oh no, stop. Oh, you were tearing up everything. Look at her. Say hello. Say hello. Hello. She's so sweet. She hates me. She loves my wife, though, so that's important. Down she goes. Okay. I don't remember where I was going with this. Oh, right. New scene. So I was watching it with my wife and talking to her, and I said, it's funny. This is almost a lot like how the different time loops are. And I went, I wonder. Nah, they're not going to do that. They would have announced if this was like not just a remake, and it's so shot for shot that this is a remake. They just added a new scene. But that spark did kind of come up in my brain, like, is this, because the whole premise of the original was time loop, so there's a lot of kind of repeated scenes from different angles. They do good about not repeating too many scenes to make it obnoxious, but they do repeat enough scenes for you to get the sense that these characters are in a time loop. But she's still wandering around. She's just looping the room. Maybe she's in a time loop. It's the Matrix. But so that spark was in my brain, but I was like, I don't want to get my hopes up is the wrong term, but I was like, I don't want to go off on a crazy tangent because they had one new scene. And then the show continues as normal. I was like, okay, well, just that weird thought in my head. So then they're all going to the dumpster as per normal. You are on the desk. I love you, cat. You are going to turn off my camera. It's going to be sad. But then they go to the dumpster as normal. And they're, digging through the things. The episode, he discovers there was the murder all those years ago, right? As the same as normal. And the credits roll. And I was like, that's Higurashi. And my wife's like, okay, that's nice, I guess. And I was like, well, I know it's not your thing. Because she does like some anime, but just murder mysteries aren't really her favorite, anime or not anime, but especially like just really gruesome murder mysteries, which, as the first scene indicates, it's going to be a gruesome murder mystery. And the credits roll, and I was like, well, it's okay. And she's like, I may watch some more, but I'm just not. It's not gripping me. I'm tired. I have to read subtitles, which is the worst. And so I was like, yeah, I get that. And so we were just chatting, and then the credits roll, and then the scene pops up, and I went, oh, they've got an after credit stinger. I didn't realize that. That's cute. Okay, let's see what it is. And it shows that famous scene where Keiichi's standing, just over the magazine that shows, oh, there's a murder here, and then behind Keiichi is Reina standing there, kind of looking creepy with the axe, or they always call it axe. It's a friggin' cleaver. I don't understand that, but anyway. And then it zooms out again, even further, and I was like, what? And then freaking Rika is standing there staring at them bug-eyed with like glowy red eyes, and I was like, holy crap. And she's like, I don't get it. What's the big deal? And I'm like, that's new. And she's like, okay, there was new stuff in the other one. I'm like, no, like, that's not supposed to be here. This is wrong in a good way, though, because I don't want to get my hopes. It's the same thing with the extra scene with the marker and the punchy glove. I don't want to get my hopes up too high. I could be overreacting, but I think most Higurashi fans are thinking the same thing I'm thinking, which is that this isn't just a remake. It's like the rebuild of Eva films. It's the stealth sequel remake with a time loop. Because and if any show, or if any property, I should say, is going to do that, it should be Higurashi, because Eva wasn't really about time loops. I know there were some indications, but the main show of Eva was not about time loops. Time loops more exist to justify kind of the different adaptations of that media. But time loops are the point of Higurashi, so slipping in a sequel that is just a continuation of the time loops, fits perfectly with this property. So I don't think I'm crazy going off on a limb theorizing for saying that. But, the thumbnail will probably me being like, time loops or something. It's a big bowl, like, Higurashi sequel, time loops, Mormons. If any of y'all saw my last video, you will understand the Mormon. Anyway, that's unrelated. I gotta slip like a really tiny, like, Mormons ? Exclamation point to like every video now, and wait for people to tell me where it is. No one watches my videos, so no one will see it, but I gotta start like hiding. That's what I'm gonna do. Of course, I'm telling you all that now. Maybe I'll cut this out. Maybe I won't. Anyway, but I'm not crazy for thinking that. Some people were pointing out her eyes glowed, seemed to look like Hanyu from the ending of the original show. I actually think they look different. I think it reminded me less of... It could be a new effect. That's very possible. This could be indicating the power Hanyu has. And... who is a deity in the show, I guess. You really shouldn't be watching this unless you're like wanting to get into the new show. I don't want to spoil... I'm going into this assuming you are a fan or don't care about spoilers or are going to read up what I'm talking about. I'm not explaining every little detail. This isn't like a Higurashi breakdown. If you want that, I can do that. I just don't feel like I'm the most qualified person. I've only like watched the show and read part of the novels. I'm still going through the novels, actually, even. So I don't feel super qualified for that. But if y'all want that for me, by golly, we can do it. But her eyes, some said look like Hanyu's. I don't think so. I think they looked, not that it ever happened, but what it reminded me was less of, oh, she has the power of Hanyu, which I already knew. But my mind immediately went to, and I'm going to butcher the name, but Frederica Bernstinkle, I think is how it's pronounced. The Time Witch, which is kind of like an alternate consciousness spawned from Rika doing so much time traveling. I know that's not accurate, but fans of everything. But, like, admit that in a short recap video, that's a pretty decent TLDR, like in 4 words or less, describe this character. I know there's so much more to it, but basically this Time Witch that was kind of spawned from Rika's consciousness, like, is an alternate version of Rika, but not really, but kind of. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that the Frederica's tampering with things. This time loop has started again. either by her power or she's trying to combat whatever has caused it to happen again. Uh, so I'm friggin' pumped because, I mean, like, I don't know. I guess they'll come back here next week and you'll hear. Maybe not next. It'll probably take longer. They're going to play this slow. I know they are. I know they are. We're not going to really know what's going on until, like, episode 12, I think. But they're going to start introducing more and more elements and things are going to get off course really quick. I have a feeling. I really hope that. Now, see, that's the problem is now if it's just normal remake with a couple scene or two that's extra, the unfortunate thing is I'm gonna be disappointed now, which sucks because like a remake of the show should be enough. But was it ever really enough? The original show was good. I think the one lingering question in the back of my mind, as much as I've been excited for this, was why? What was the show going to do to justify itself? It originally was sold on, oh, we got to make the animation so much better, and so I was a little disappointed's a strong word, but I was like, oh, I'm not going to be blown away because the original show still exists. I love it. And the animation quality, while good, while better than the original, was not so much better that I was like, this warrants remaking my second favorite show ever. I hope it makes money. I hope it introduces people to the masses, but I always felt it was a little unnecessary from a creative standpoint, at least. Maybe from a money-making standpoint, which maybe that's all that's happening, and they're just adding little tidbits to keep people like me tuning in and strung along. That's a very cynical look. The hopeful, optimistic, creative side of me says this now potentially has the potential to justify why it's a remake of the show. What could justify a remake of the show? Better animation quality? Sure, but it's not so much better. You know, it's the same voice actors, and so the same cast is back. So it's not like you didn't like the casting there. They're clearly, you know, it seemed initially like they're not tampering with the story or pacing ever. They're not making it, as far as I know, they're not making it longer. In fact, they've like said they're doing 2 12-episode cores, which would basically only bring them up to the end of season 1 of the first show. So they needed another 2 cores to like basically catch up to the episode count of the original. So it's at the very best, it seems like only going to keep pacing with the original show, and at worst may be a little less. Actually, may take out some stuff. So it's definitely not going to improve the pacing. I mean, it might make it faster, but it's I guess it's subjective. I don't know anyone who's like Higurashi moves too fast, moves too slow. I mean, the show. Most of the complaints are from the visual novel fans who say it's actually too fast. So it's not going to like flesh things out, but if it starts doing that rebuild thing where it's a stealth sequel, I mean, that completely justifies it. I don't know if it'll be good. That's terrifying because now I've got who's writing. Who is writing the sequel? Is this 07th expansion? Like writing a new story that is then being animated? Or are these anime only writers? Like, is it the Monogatari guy? I doubt it. He was like the character designer, not the writer was involved with that, so no. But like, you know what I mean? Like, who is writing the new elements? Are they going to gel? If this is a sequel to Higurashi, as I suspect it is, who is writing the sequel? Is it the same people? Even that's spooky because it's been, you know, over a decade. Well over a decade. And I know there's been little fan things, but coming back, you have a different perspective on your own work and you want to do new things with it, which is fine for spin-offs and such, which is mostly what's been done. But this core series hasn't really been written on in, I think, over a decade at this point. I know the first one was well before then. I don't know exactly when the last one was published originally because I also, you know, you get the American releases that are different. But and you're going to approach your own work differently a decade later. And that's all fine with spin-offs and new stories, but what's scary is how are you going to approach the thesis of the original a decade later, and if this is a canonical sequel that really is continuing the story of these characters and they're put back in a time loop situation again, how is that going to affect? Because the ending, even if it was a little, I don't want to say cheap, it was a little happy-go-lucky, they earned it. And I really appreciated that. And so I'm genuinely concerned about the fate of these characters. Both as a watcher, like, oh no, I want, you know, I hope the characters are okay, but also just from a narrative standpoint, it was a very conclusive, it was a very well told, it was a very fitting narrative. Not perfect, but really, really well done. And I'm now a little bit nervous that this sequel is going to go, well, the ending was too happy, and so we're going to cause kind of unnecessary pain. We had a really good, narratively fulfilling, conclusive ending, and it looks like we might be rolling that back, which is both terrifying and exciting. Okay, I've rambled on enough. I probably will cut some of this out. What do you all think? Are any of you Higurashi fans? Are any of you going to watch the show? If you're my normal fan base, it's very gory and gross and murder mystery and very stressful, so please be not a child if you're going to watch it, or if you are, don't tell people that I sent you. I don't want to be a bad influence. Yeah. But if you are old enough, give it a watch. It's on Funimation right now, the new one, and the old one is like Hulu and stuff. I think you can watch it on Hulu. I big recommend the original one if you are able to stomach the violence and scares. It's the only actually scary anime I've ever seen. Yeah. So let me know what you thought. I'm gonna give some more weekly updates. They will probably be shorter because there will be less backstory. But I'm just gonna kind of go over and go, hey, this is what the episode differently. If it's interesting, I can talk about my theories. We'll go from there. If you hate this, let me know. You always do. I see those thumbs down. I see those thumbs down on another. I see them. I see them on that Name of the Wind rant. Don't worry. I love it. Algorithm all the same, right? Or does the algorithm? The algorithm used to like thumbs downs. I don't think it does anymore. So maybe it hurts me, but joke's on you. This is a hobby. Ah. Okay. My name's Dolan.